Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to Rhyme Chapters, a space where books are not just summarized, they are felt. Where we don't just read words, we unpack them, we question them, and we let them change us. If you've ever struggled with misunderstandings, conflict, or simply wished you could connect better with people, then today's chapter is for you. Because we're diving into one of the most influential self-development books ever written. How to Win Friends and Influence People. A book that has shaped leaders, entrepreneurs, professionals, and everyday relationships for decades. But here's the real question. Can a book written in 1936 still teach us how to navigate modern relationships? Can simple principles like smiling, listening, and appreciation really transform the way people respond to us? In this review, we're breaking it down, honestly, deeply, and practically, so you can decide for yourself. So settle in. Take a breath. And let's turn the page. Have you ever wondered why some people naturally attract friends, respect, opportunities, while others struggle, even when they're talented? Today, we're diving into one of the most powerful relationship books ever written. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And no, this is not about manipulation. It's not about tricks. It's about understanding human nature. And once you understand that, everything changes. When I first heard the title, I'll be honest, it sounded strategic, almost like a formula to win people. But as you read it, you realize something simple. People don't want to be won. They want to be understood. They want to feel important. They want to feel seen. And that's where this book begins. Lesson 1. Stop criticizing. Carnegie starts with something uncomfortable. He says, don't criticize. Don't condemn. Don't complain. Now pause for a second. How often do we criticize without even noticing? A sibling, a coworker, a friend. Why would you do that? You always mess things up. That's not how it's done. It feels normal. But here's the truth. Criticism doesn't create change. It creates defensiveness. Think about a time someone criticized you. Did you feel motivated? Or did you feel attacked? Exactly. Carnegie explains that when you attack someone's pride, they protect it. But when you protect someone's dignity, they open up. That shift alone can transform relationships. Lesson 2. The deep need to feel important. Here's something powerful. Every human being has a deep desire to feel important. Not superior, just important. Imagine walking into a room and nobody acknowledges you. No greeting. No eye contact. Nothing. It hurts quietly. Now imagine someone says, I really appreciate how you handled that. Small sentence. Big impact. Carnegie warns us about flattery. Fake praise doesn't work. But genuine appreciation? That changes people. I once knew a cleaner in an office building. People walked past her every day. Invisible. One day, someone stopped and said, you keep this place so fresh. Thank you. Her entire posture changed. She smiled differently. Because someone noticed. That's influence. Not power. Connection. Lesson 3. Be interested, not interesting. Here's another truth that feels almost too simple. If you want people to like you, be genuinely interested in them. Ask about their dreams, their families, their struggles, and actually listen. Not waiting for your turn to speak, but listening. We've all met someone who only talks about themselves. It's exhausting. But when someone listens to you, you feel valued. And when people feel valued, they naturally gravitate toward you. That's influence. Not forced. Not loud. Just human. Now, this is where the book becomes uncomfortable. Because it talks about something we all struggle with. Arguments. Disagreements. Egos. Being right. In this section, Dale Carnegie says something that almost feels unfair at first. He says, "You can't win an argument." Pause there. Because technically, you can. You can prove your point. You can raise your voice. You can bring facts. And maybe, the other person goes silent. But here's the question. Did you really win? Or did you just create distance? Another thing is the argument that changes nothing. Think about a time you argued with a friend. Maybe about money. Maybe about loyalty. Maybe about politics. You both talked. You both defended yourselves. You both tried to be right. At the end, no one changed their mind. But something shifted. The warmth wasn't the same. That's what Carnegie means. When you attack someone's belief directly, they defend it harder. Even if you're right. Especially if you're right. Something else is to admit when you're wrong. This one feels painful. Carnegie suggests that when you are wrong, admit it quickly. And sincerely. Not halfway. Not sarcastically. Fully. And here's a relatable story. Imagine you're late meeting a friend. Instead of saying, "Traffic was crazy," you say, "I'm sorry. I didn't manage my time well." What happens? Most of the time, the other person softens immediately. Because you removed the tension. You took responsibility. There's no fight left to have. I once saw this happen at work. Two colleagues disagreed over a report mistake. One was ready to defend himself. But instead he said, "You're right. I overlooked that. Thank you for catching it." The entire mood changed. The other person actually started helping him fix it. Humility disarms conflict. Another thing is to begin in a friendly way. Carnegie teaches that if you need to correct someone, don't start with accusation. Start gently. Instead of saying, "You did this wrong," try, "Can we look at this part together?" It sounds small, but tone decides whether someone opens up or shuts down. Think about a family situation. Maybe your sibling borrowed something without asking. You could explode. Or you could say, "Hey, next time just let me know first." Same message. Different outcome. The first creates resentment. The second preserves respect. Something else is to let the other person save face. This principle is powerful. Never embarrass someone. Especially publicly. Imagine correcting someone in front of others. Even if you're right. Even if you're justified. That embarrassment lingers. Carnegie emphasizes protecting dignity. I remember a teacher who corrected mistakes privately instead of calling students out in class. Students respected her more. Not because she was strict, but because she protected their pride. And pride is fragile. And finally, ask questions instead of giving orders. Instead of saying, "Do this now." Try. "Do you think we could try this approach?" Questions invite cooperation. Commands invite resistance. It applies in leadership, in relationships, even in friendships. People want autonomy. They want to feel like they're choosing, not being forced. And when they feel involved in the solution, they're more committed to it. As you read this part of the book, you start realizing something. Influence is not loud. It's not forceful. It's patient. It's humble. It protects people's dignity, even when correcting them. And maybe the hardest part of all, it requires controlling your ego. Because sometimes, being right matters less than keeping the relationship right. Now, here is where everything comes together. Because now the question becomes, how do you inspire change in someone without making them feel small? How do you correct someone without creating resentment? How do you lead without force? And this is where Carnegie becomes incredibly practical. 1. Begin with praise and honest appreciation. If you need to correct someone, don't start with what they did wrong. Start with what they did right. Not fake praise. Not manipulation. Real acknowledgement. Imagine your younger sibling brings home results that aren't great. Instead of saying, "Why are your grades like this?" you say, "I know you're capable. I've seen how smart you are." Immediately, the conversation feels different. Carnegie explains that when people feel valued first, they are more open to improvement. Because you're not attacking their identity. You're encouraging their potential. 2. Call attention to mistakes indirectly. This one is subtle. Instead of pointing fingers, share your own story. For example, if someone is struggling with punctuality, instead of saying, "You're always late," you might say, "I used to struggle with time management too until I started planning ahead." It removes shame. It creates relatability. It says, "I'm not above you. I understand." And people respond better to understanding than to accusation. 3. Give people a reputation to live up to. This principle is powerful. Tell people what you believe they are capable of. And often, they rise to meet it. Imagine telling a child, "You're such a responsible person," even if they don't fully believe it yet. Over time, they begin to act responsibly. Because now they have an identity to protect. I once had a manager who told a quiet employee, "You have leadership potential." That employee began speaking up more in meetings. Nothing magical happened. Just belief. Carnegie understood something profound. People often become what you expect them to be. 4. Make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. Instead of forcing, frame things positively. Instead of, "You have to do this," try, "This will really showcase your strengths." Same task, different emotional response. When people see how something benefits them, they cooperate willingly. That's influence, not control. And as this book closes, you realize something humbling. Influence is not about power. It's about empathy. It's about making people feel safe, valued, and respected. It's about protecting dignity, even in correction. It's about controlling your ego, so relationships can grow. And honestly, in a world where everyone wants to be heard, the person who listens becomes unforgettable. So, after walking through all 4 parts of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, what is this book really about? It's not about tricks. It's not about pretending. It's not about becoming someone you're not. It's about becoming more aware, more intentional, more human. And when you step back and look at everything together, you begin to see the pattern. This book teaches one central truth. People respond to how you make them feel. Not how intelligent you sound. Not how right you are. Not how powerful you appear. But how safe, how respected, how valued they feel around you. Let's bring everything together. First, stop criticizing, condemning, and complaining. Because criticism wounds pride. And wounded pride creates resistance. Second, give honest and sincere appreciation. People are starving for recognition. When you notice someone genuinely, you give them dignity. Third, become genuinely interested in others. Ask questions. Listen fully. Let conversations be about them sometimes. Fourth, smile. Remember names. Talk in terms of the other person's interests. Make people feel important, sincerely. Fifth, avoid arguments. You can win the debate and lose the relationship. Admit when you're wrong. It disarms tension instantly. Sixth, if you must correct someone, do it gently. Begin with praise. Call attention to mistakes indirectly. Protect their pride. Give them a reputation to live up to. And finally, inspire, don't force. Encourage, don't embarrass. Lead with empathy. Let's talk about how this book can change someone's life. Imagine applying these principles at work. Instead of constant tension, there's cooperation. Instead of silent competition, there's collaboration. Imagine applying this in friendships. Less drama, more understanding. Imagine applying this in family relationships. Fewer ego battles, more peace. This book doesn't promise overnight success, but it does promise something deeper. Stronger connections. And stronger connections change everything. Opportunities often come through people. Support comes through people. Growth comes through people. And if you understand people, you unlock doors that force never could. When you finish this book, you don't feel hyped. You feel reflective. You start noticing your tone, your reactions, your impatience. And slowly, you begin adjusting. And those small adjustments, they compound. That's the quiet genius of this book. If this review resonated with you, if you've ever struggled with communication, with misunderstandings, with conflict, I truly encourage you. Read the book for yourself. There are stories in it. Examples. Real-life situations that hit differently when you read them personally. Don't just take my interpretation. Experience it. Let it challenge you. Let it refine you. And if you found this review helpful, please like the video. It helps the channel grow. Share it with someone who values personal growth. Comment below. What principle stood out to you the most? And of course, subscribe to Rhyme Chapters. For more deep, honest, and human book reviews. Because here, we don't just summarize books. We feel them. And we grow from them. Until the next chapter.